Okie dokie, here we go. Welcome everybody to this webinar, Animal Psycharomatica, or APA, in action. This is where I'm going to introduce you to myself and Naomi, who are the teachers on that course, and why, what, how the whole thing works, and why we think it is the ultimate animal wellness system. And honestly, it might sound like bragging, which is something we English people don't generally do, but we really do think that it's the best system. And we often get that sort of feedback from people who've been through multiple trainings and lots of certificates. They're well trained and there's something a bit missing. There's just something that isn't quite holding it together. And that's what we try to do. We think that multiple modalities is great. We're both trained in various areas because learning anyway is fun as we're concerned, as far as we're concerned. But as far as looking at the whole animal, I think what makes this system stand out is that we look at really everything. We look at everything that is going on with the animal in its environment, with the humans, which are very much part of any environment, and we provide tools so that we can then make the terrain good, make the environment good, and return wellness to the animal and the person, in fact, because it's so often intertwined, isn't it? So that's the underlying of it. I'll tell you a little bit about myself for those of you who don't know me yet. Unless, Naomi, do you have anything else to say yet? Or should I just rattle on until...
You keep talking.
Yeah, you keep me going until I'm... So, I am a person who has always loved animals, as I'm sure that most of you here have. And I worked most of my adult life with horses as my focus. That was mostly in starting youngsters, sorting out problems for people and their horses, but very much with a focus on the self-awareness and emotional awareness of the human part of the equation. So it's understanding what horses need emotionally and helping humans to be more aware of that and are more aware of themselves. So that's always been my priority, getting people and animals working together. That was all based very much on my own experiences, my own learning. It was intuitively led. I didn't have much formal education until I ran into aromatherapy and zoopharmacognosy and all of that stuff. And I decided to start training more into the healing arts than pure horse training focus. I was introduced to it by a friend of mine who said, oh, you've got to meet this woman, Caroline Ingraham. She's doing this thing with essential oils. I think you'll love it, which I rightly did. And I intended to learn it as a support for my behavioral problems, with the horses I was working with, to help them de-stress, etc. But it has a little bit of a way of taking over once you start getting into essential oils and aromatics and all of that thing. I just fell in love with the whole system. And one of the most wonderful things about it was how it integrated with the focus I already had on helping humans and animals connect. Because when you're offering essential oils for self-selection, you are encouraging the human to be present and to listen and to wait and to respect, and all of those factors which are so important for an animal's well-being, and which often we, in our will and our love and our care for them, overlook because we want to take care of them. And when you start to come to them with aromatics and say, what would you like? You tell me how you want to interact, which is how we work with the essential oils and the botanicals. They go, oh my God, somebody is listening. somebody's here for me, and it just immediately drops their stress levels down. It's just magical to watch. It changes the dynamic. And I don't care how long I've been doing this, which is now 20, oh my gosh. Wait, I qualified in 1998, so you guys do the math. I still love it every time. It still touches my heart every time I see an animal interact again and do that selection and just go, hi, oh, thank you. So that's what I did. I trained with Caroline Ingraham in 1997, and she's the person that developed the whole system of applied zoopharmacognosy and how to use self-selection, kind of stumbled across it in her workings, which was fantastic. And once I'd finished with that training, I needed more. So I went on and I trained in acupressure, 5-element acupressure, more aromatherapy, kinesiology, human aromatherapy, etc. You know, building up my toolkit basically. And I'd always had this interest in traditional Chinese medicine and the 5-element theory in particular, and we use it in the APA system a lot. I mean, that's all the foundation of the advanced level, particularly. But and why do we use it? Because the 5-element theory approaches wellness through the behavior, through the emotion, which is where I was coming from anyway. So you recognize the emotion, and that leads you to the body, to the imbalance. It's like where they let us know something is going on. Often underlying that, there is pain, there is trauma, there is, right, Naomi? What else? It's like that's
Yeah, it's like it's looking at the connection between, well, I'm gonna take it even one level deeper or lower. So it's the connection between the emotional aspect and the physical aspect. Looking at the internal organs, how everything is working together, and the fact that something is wrong, something is out of balance in the body, will give us different behaviors, will give us different emotions coming out, behaviors. Um, so everything is really connected in all levels. So it doesn't matter from which point you begin to look at the story. You have to, at the end of it, you're going to see the whole story from all the aspects.
absolutely. And I'm just gonna, while she's standing here talking to us, well, sitting here talking to us, I'll just give you a little word on Naomi. Naomi David is our traditional Chinese medicine expert, and she teaches all of the courses that we offer that are primarily TCM. She has been working with me since she was a teenager, basically.
Yep.
And she's a human acupuncturist. She works animal acupuncturist, massage, homeopathy. What else have you got there going? Actually,
Um,
that's
yeah,
that's
well,
well,
basically,
animal aromatic, animal psychomatica, obviously.
yeah.
So, and she teaches the Chinese stuff, and she is very, very good, I have to tell you, unbiased. Um, so she, I would say, takes the understanding the 5 elements and integrates that with the botanical aromatic knowledge that she has as well. And as we combine those two things, it's a very, very powerful healing modality, using acupoints alongside the essential oils. And also, one of the things that Naomi integrates in her work, and she works from a vet clinic in Tel Aviv at the moment. So,
Modin, but never mind.
no, whatever. I don't think we're going to know the difference. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It's also through self-selection, you see. It's allowing the animals to guide with the with the points that are used, or it's very minimalist. It's a totally different sort of level of healing than when you see a lot of these animal acupuncturists that you see putting in tons of needles all the way down the back and ramping them up. It's very respectful, and I love watching her work because it's the animals enjoy it so much and participate and let her know. So yay.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5 elements. That's why we use the 5 elements, because it's such a beautiful way to interact with and to connect and to look at the whole picture. And it's so intuitive because it's based on nature. So we kind of, it's easy to understand once you get it. In the beginning, you got an awful lot of Chinese theory that can get
Chinese.
confusing. But once you get past that, no, I'm kidding. It's great stuff. And the other thing about 5 elements, why we use that as one of our tools, is because it helps you to understand the individual. And in this system, seeing each being as an individual with their own character needs, soul needs, body needs, type, their history, everything that comes together to make them who they are when they stand in front of you and you're ready to offer your assistance, is primary. Each one is an individual with rights and choices, and we need to respect that. And that underlies absolutely everything we do. And that also applies to the humans involved. So, and the 5 elements, because in 5 element theory, you have the typology, which means kind of a description of character types. And this is a very, again, intuitive way of understanding behaviors and why an animal is behaving in that way. Why does my dog not want to be cuddled? Well, he's a water element. He's not going to want to be cuddled most of the time. And if you respect that and allow him to come to you, you can have the best cuddles ever. And just being able to explain that to a human immediately reduces their stress. See, they just go, oh, all right, it's not that he doesn't love me. It's that's just who he is. And if I love him, I'll respect that. So that's one of the reasons that I love 5 elements, one of the many reasons that it's useful to us. And that is what we learn in the sort of the basic level of the course. We learn about typology. And I mentioned there stress. Now, stress is the other big key to what we do. And this is what turned my practice around from being just kind of offering essential oils and getting good results, but not, sometimes it didn't really stick. And I was, learning all these different modalities to give myself more tools to try and get the whole thing, to give myself enough space to play with, to really understand these things. And when I clicked that it was the stress, and that understanding the mechanisms of stress, the physiological and psychological mechanisms of stress, how it affects the body and mind, what causes the stresses in our domestic environments, because I'm not talking about out of control stress here. It's the little everyday stresses that any domestic animal, including humans, are subjected to, and how we can handle them, and trying to reduce them to a manageable load based on the individual, on their species specific needs, on their character needs, and putting those into place as much as possible, which is done often through little changes. Doesn't have to be a huge adjustment. It can be as easy as changing the position where their bed is sometimes. But the big one is diet. Diet is a big stress, so we address that. Nutrition, the wrong nutrition. And then the not having their social needs met for their species, not having those sort of things. Humans that don't understand what their needs are, so a lot of it is about helping humans understand what they need and how they can provide it without having to break the bank or move house or any other thing. We've done this. We've adjusted lifestyles for animals in flats in Tel Aviv. You don't have to go and buy a farm in Portugal, which is what I did, but hey, some of us go to a more extreme in their character than others. So it's doable, and that's a part of what you learn when you're doing the APA, and what we include in when we're assessing an animal. I think Naomi, should I say anything else, or should we start to look at this and
I
go
think
through it?
I just wanna add that the whole concept that we built together, working from the APA into the 5-element course, is actually a way to go deeper, but with the same tools actually. Okay, it's looking from the APA point of view, from self-selection point of view, into the Chinese medicine. It's not something that is separate. It's not a different tool. It's the same, but just going on deeper into the 5-element theory, but still working with the whole APA concept, which is really important to understand.
Yeah, because now you're kind of meaning the two sort of the levels of the courses, because there are two separate it's kind of two separate courses, but it's taking it to the one end, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's set up as two levels so that people can take it at their own pace if they want to. Sometimes people need time to digest these things in between. So yeah, but yeah, so basically, so how it works. So let's put it like this before we go into which you'll understand more as we go through it.
Yeah.
So the first step, really, so what our aim is to support animal guardians in creating an environment that allows everyone to flourish by reducing stress. That's the first aim. Okay. And stress, as I said, can be food, it can be management, it can be understanding. It's not necessarily something huge, but it can be. Sometimes it's a trauma. We need to relieve the trauma, and the essential oils are brilliant for that, as is the Chinese acupoints and stuff. Working those two together is a really great way to relieve stresses. So we have the tools to relieve the stress. And you know what? The best way to reduce stresses is to offer choice. One of the most stressful things is not having any choice, right? Being deprived of your own autonomy, which, we do that to prisoners. And we do it to our animals because we love them. We want to keep them safe. But when you come with the botanicals, as I said before, and offer it to them, you immediately reduce stress. And that's the first step. By offering the botanicals, you reduce stress, and then healing can start. You have to first of all get the environment right, reduce the stress levels, and then you can really go deeply into the healing, which can take a little bit longer. The first steps can be quite quick, quite amazingly quick. But to really hold that, we go in deeper with more herbs, with acupoints, etc. So that's what our aim is. And the tools we're using are aromatics self-selection, 5-element theory, behavior, helping the human connect, and understanding the energy and communication that goes on between ourselves and our animals. So our case study is on, well, Lisa's here, and she has this lovely dog. She's on the APA course at the moment, and she has 20. She does sled dog. She's got sled dog stuff. She does sled dog stuff. Huskies. She's got huskies out there, a whole pack of them, and they've been having some aggression problems recently that she wanted help sorting out. So we've been working on that, and we have done some stress reduction stuff already. She's doing great work. She's and she is a really dedicated guardian, which is always wonderful to work with, because that's you're already ahead of the game. You've got that. So we're going to work on one of her doggies today, Finland. A little bit because when I looked at Finland, I kind of fell in love with her, actually, I have to say. And I'm going to just share a photograph with you of her for a second, because she's very, very cute. And then we are going to go, Naomi and I are going to go through her assessment form and see what we've come up with for her. Okay, there she is. Isn't she gorgeous?
She's so
She's
sweet.
just so sweet, so pretty. So that's Finland. So what we do at the beginning of an assessment, of a beginning of a case study, is we have the guardian fill out a pretty extensive assessment form where we're going to be gathering information. Because our first job is to put on our detective hats and see what we can find. And why do we do that? Why is it important? We want to have a very full life history. We want to know everything we can: life history, medical history, how they live, what they eat, who the person is, what their personality is, all of those things. Because when an animal comes to us and says, I'm needing help, the guardian says, my animal needs help, we're not going to rush and soothe the symptom. We're not going to look at the first thing that's shouting out at us. We want to know, where did that start? Because once we can figure out and get back to that point of starting, or at least as far back into it as that animal will allow as we clear through, then we can make a true and lasting change. We're not just putting band-aids on. We're actually really, truly rebalancing the system so it can return to wellness. Okay. So we take this very extensive assessment form where we ask about, and then I'm going to actually share the assessment form here, or parts of it, so you can see how it works. And Lisa's done a great job of filling this out with lots of details. Actually, I'm in two minds about sharing the assessment form because there's so much of it. But I think what I'm going to do is, Naomi, we're just going to talk about it. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Otherwise, we're going to get stuck on too many details. I know what we're like.
Yeah.
So what I do when I go through the assessment form is I highlight little things that are seem significant to me, that shout out at me, because I'm looking for the trail. Yeah, I'm marking, it's like leaving breadcrumbs so I can find my way back there. When did this start? When was the first trauma, etc. So, and I'm just going to very quickly praise you what story is. So Finland is 2.5 years old. She's a female entire canine Alaskan Husky who lives in with her family. She's got siblings there and her mother. They're all present in the pack, along with and a grandmother and other relatives. So there's a lot of them there. And recently, what my guardian has told me, she's gone through a series of aggressive moments towards other pack members, which are more intense during her heat cycles. Okay, I don't know. I'm sure that all of us have experienced being a bit more aggressive during our heat cycles, but hey. This has been extreme. So that's the problem. And that's what I need to start with. This is what we're addressing. This is what's flagged us up as help. I need help over here. Okay. So we're on our way, Finland, to help you. So my first flag in this thing was when her siblings were 3 months old, there was a very large fight in the yard between two other dogs. She wasn't involved in it. It was a huge mess in which her guardian got injured. So that was traumatic for her as well. The other pups were outside and the mother led them away. The only one who didn't move off was Finland. Because she was in the doghouse right next to where the altercation was occurring and was barking her brains off. Now, actually, I had a further question. I have supplemental questions that come up here, and I have actually missed this one, so I'm going to ask it right now of Lisa. So they were all in the doghouse, were they, Lisa?
No, they were actually all out.
Okay.
They were all out in the yard, and then Beret led them out and she ran into the doghouse. So instead of following her mom and siblings, she ran into the doghouse instead of following out.
Okay. But she did have the option of following if she'd chosen to.
She did, yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I just saw that. Whether she was separated, like locked away from them. Naomi, so far, what do we have? What do you have to say about this so far?
First of all, that was my big flag too when I read the whole story. And for me, this big fight in the yard was what is actually taking the course of her life. Okay, that's what changed her perspective on life, the way I see it. And from there, if I look at her hormonal system, everything starts from that point on. Till the behavior today, which is being more aggressive around all the hormonal changes she's feeling in her body. So I see a big connection between it all.
And that I'll come back to this a little bit further down when I go and explain some of the things I found out with the MBA again. So you see how important it is to look back all the way back to the beginning, you know, and because there's often it's something that happened in childhood that we might have forgotten. We might not even remember anymore. You know, you might have overlooked it at the time.
And sometimes we don't even know about it.
True, absolutely. You know, but
it's always written on the body, okay? Because when I look at the pictures, I can see the whole story on her. So it doesn't matter if I don't know the story, I can see the story.
This is one of Naomi's superpowers. She looks at it. Honestly, she's amazing. She's amazing. We have mentor groups, and she's like, "Come on, everybody, have a look and see." And we're like, "Yeah, what about this? What about that?" She's like, "Yeah." Anyway, it's a superpower, and it's very, very useful. And she really does teach people how to develop it to themselves. So, okay, so Finland was in the doghouse after this fight, barking her head off, hackles raised, very overstimulated, took some time to calm her. A couple of things I'm doing as I'm going through here is I'm also listening to what her element typology is, and which essential oils might jump into my head as I'm going through, and I'll make little markers or notes about that as well. So she and her sisters got along well. She has 2 sisters and a brother from the same litter that all still live there. And Finland was the last one to get a heat cycle, about 18 months old, which is really quite old for
it's
dog.
actually old for any kind of dog.
Yeah. And then she had them for every 2 or 3 months. So yeah, we can already see that there's the hormonal disruption is there, not quite right somehow. Now around 2 years out, she seems to have leveled out to every 6 months. So there has been some balances, but that's also because you've been making some changes and supporting that and helping her to move in a good direction. Then there was a couple of other fights along the way. I'm not going to go into them, but there was a couple of instances of aggression, which were not witnessed exactly who the aggressor was, but Finland was found back in a state of hysteria similar to the first incident. She wasn't hiding. She was standing next to the ATV where the other dog was hiding, hackles up, barking her brains off. So she's now discovering a different way that makes her feel possibly more in control of the situation. She's outside and she's barking with her hackles up, and this dog is not coming back at us. So she's learning that if she's barking and hackling up and being aggressive, maybe it's not quite as scary as it was that first time. And there was a lot of heat cycles going on between all of the youngsters at that stage. It's like this place is hormonal, and then their mum got pregnant. So their human mum, I mean. So there's an awful lot of hormonal stuff going on everywhere in this story. So we're like, yay, hormones must be a thing here.
Yep.
So Nomi, in Chinese medicine, when you see a lot of hormonal stuff, what does that kind of call up for you? What do you think immediately? Or do you not?
First of all, I don't think immediately, at least I don't think really Chinese. I think, the way my brain thinks. But for me, it means, well, first of all, it points out my, my big belief that hormones are very, very, how do you say, um, shoot,
Right in Hebrew.
medabek.
Sticky.
Not
Oh
sticky.
no. Oh, they infect. They're infectious. They're
Yeah,
kind of
thank you.
contagious. Contagious,
Very
yeah.
contagious. Okay, so everything hormonal is very, very contagious. And it's very, very difficult to do hormonal changes when you have so many hormones all around. So everything has to change. You have to do like a giant change with everyone, but it has to start with two, the weakest and the strongest. Okay, so it means that there's someone that's actually holding the whole hormonal imbalance, which is not Finland. Okay, she's just acting upon it. So we're actually getting a story from the whole group through Finland. She's actually the one telling us what's going on with the whole group of dogs, not only with her body, when we look from the perspective of hormones only. Okay? Then we can just look specifically at her and understand what's going on in her body. And if I'm just separating my brain for a minute and just looking from the Chinese point of view, then like I'm going all into water mode.
Yeah, yes, she's a water element. Okay, we got to wind her down. Stop. Thanks, Naomi. That was a lovely good information. Okay.
Yeah. But I look at her and my first thought is, okay, she is a water element.
Oh,
From,
really? You think she's a water element?
yeah, from my perspective, yes.
From your perspective, okay. But so this is a really good point, people. Water element typology or element is a perspective. It's a perspective, and sometimes it's a personal perspective. I was once told by a TCM vet that I was trying to decide which element was. He says, if you can make it work, that's the element. You know, so it's a way for us to help to look and to understand. And our own elements are going to influence a little bit how we see. So it's not a set thing. It's not a right or wrong thing. It's about it's a doorway, a gateway to allow us to tune into our intuition and read signs. And the signs become clear as we go through this. And I will reveal to you what element I think she is as we move through. And I will just say at this point that Nomi is a water element.
You can't say that out loud.
Oh, sorry, that offends the water types. You do not reveal these sort of things. Anyway, so, well, I think she is anyway. In that, so this sort of the repeating pattern of this story has been going on over the years, over the last, I mean, she's only young, so it's not that long, the last year, really. And there have been a few different incidences. She's also been injured by her sister, Tofta, again, but that was just before she's coming into heat. It's always around the heat cycles. All of the incidents seem to be around the heat coming in, going out. Recently, there was a difference in she's just come out of heat for Finland. This is why another reason that she's here with us today. Because there's been some change in her heat cycle, in that suddenly the boys are all now involved, and I'll read what's said. They all lost their marbles. Where is it? You said that made me laugh out loud when you told me that. So all of her males, and I mean all of them, were guarding Finland's pen. Not just my intact male, who happens to be her brother Billy. They were all strutting around and kicking and marking and hovering her pen when I put her back in. So she was put back in. One of her intact males, her non-intact males, who's never shown interest in a female, actually mounted her. Yeah, and they got tied. And this is like extreme behavior that has not been seen by the guardian with her males before. Suddenly, Finland is just the prettiest girl in the village, and everybody wants her. And the only one that doesn't is her dad, Bear, and he's the only one that she wants. So, you know, whether it was, I mean, he is an important figure in the pack, so it does make sense. But she was screaming and would fend off. She would run away. She didn't want to have anything to do with the boys, and they were basically bullying her. So that's why when she was let out with dogs that Lisa thought were safe for her to be with, but they turned out not to be. If she did occasionally stand and not fend them off, then her sister would come over and tell her no. She'd quickly grab her neck, and Finland would be okay. That's fine. I won't do that. So she's not that interested, even though theoretically she should be. The boys are hysterical. They've lost their marbles. Okay. Anything to say add to that, Naomi, or just it's more of the same pattern? You were saying
for me, it's
almost
more of the
bigger.
same pattern.
Yeah. Okay. So as far as treatment, she was thinking of spaying her last summer, but didn't. I think that's a good thing, to be honest. I would say probably a good way that the universe came along to just delay that a little bit. So now we have a little bit more of that. So that's sort of the general outline of what the picture is right now that we're seeing and how it got to there. Now we're going to hear a little bit more about her character. As a puppy, Finland was very needy in a cuddly way. And Lisa loves her cuddles. Even as an adult, she's very cuddly, wants to be touching. Okay, so this for me flags up fire element.
I know. I know. That's what you would think. I'm staying with my water.
So these are all fire words. Okay, so I'm looking for words that flag up the typology. She was always my favorite. Shh, don't tell anyone. I completely understand. She's charming, fun to be around. Although the whole litter was rather like that. She's fast to learn. Never had an issue going new places. She doesn't like water much. She likes to go on adventures. Which to me are all fire indicators. And she suffers separation anxiety. She has to, the thing she hates the most is isolation. So for me, those all say fire. Now give me your case for water.
Okay. So all you said is okay for water too. But when I look at her, I see the behaviors she's bringing.
Wait. I want to go back to that. So you would consider that waters are cuddly, charming.
No, they may be charming. They're not cuddly. but I don't think she's cuddly. I think her behaviors aren't from they're coming out from her traumatic side and not from her character side. I think that if she would have her self-confidence, then her choice would be to show behaviors of water element as she is, and not from the fire perspective, because water and fire coexist. They always work together. And a lot of times you can mistake a water element because they're more connected to their fire element, not because they are, because this is their way to understand that this is how they can survive in the world. The moment they understand that they can be their own character, they kind of sink into their water, and then they change their behaviors. And what you're seeing with the dynamics in the group are water element, not fire element. That's how she's actually going up in the group, because she is water and not fire.
Okay,
That's
so
I see.
I want to throw something in here, because this is what happens. You see, fire, the elements are not fixed. They are in motion. They should be in fluid motion. We should not be able to see one element too very much. Okay. And as things go out of balance or come into balance, you will start to see differences, and it will settle into possibly what we call the sort of base typology of that animal, and you will see different behaviors. And it will be harder and harder to see any one particular element. Okay, it's when they're very out of balance, you see the elements more strongly.
Exactly.
And I might have to cede my argument to Naomi here and let her be a water element based on, I'm going back to this very, very early moment where she had her original trauma. What did she do? She ran back. She ran away. She did not go with her family. Okay, she ran away. And that is the water element impulse. Their emotion of water is fear. They're survivalists, and their impulse is to run. Yeah. It's also to get hysterical. I mean, a fire element is to get hysterical.
Yeah.
Fire element makes a lot of fuss, to help, hysterical, hysteria. But often when you see very big outbursts of aggressive behavior or barking, like aggression, it is water, because if they feel they need to fight to survive, they're the most likely to actually kill to do that, because their survival is it's like the basic drive to survive is so strong. So I'm not 100% there yet, but I'll give it to you for now. But yes, I mean, that in that moment of trauma, and it would explain it would explain the why she did that, because it is strange. It is strange that her mother would be leading the others away to safety, and she would run off by herself. I think actually only a water type would do that. Possibly a metal, but not but fire is unlikely. Fire will go running to company. They want to be in connection with. So that's so there we go. This is the fun of the detective work, right?
Yeah.
So that's she's considered to be a fairly submissive dog. I've highlighted. But she lay and roll over for her mother a lot and licks her chin. She seems to like to play. She's a dog that always seems to have a smile on her face. So if she decided in that moment of trauma that actually the safest thing to do is to be with mum, to stay with the family, then she will start to appear more and more like a fire element. It's true.
Yeah, because that's the water's go-to.
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got to keep going here because we're taking a long time as usual. So then we go through, also we have is it better at different time of year or day? There's all sorts of questions about medical conditions, because we go back over stuff. So does she have respiratory? No. Allergies? No. Skin condition? Musculoskeletal problems, however, she has a tilted pelvis. She has pain in her back end. And that was going on for quite a long time as well. It's now much better. her hormones have settled down a bit. And here's a little thing that got flagged up. I ask about digestion, and suddenly Lisa remembered that the vet that she had a little indigestion vomity time around 3, 4, 5 months old, somewhere in there. So then the vet gave her probiotics for that, and it just cleared. Okay, I ask about worming history, vaccination history. All of these things can be an influence on how things are going in the biome. If things get triggered around the time of different vaccines, then that can be very significant. I'm not going to go into that in any depth right now, because we're trying to get to the punchline, kind of.
Yeah.
So Lisa had always felt that Finland walked funny. And she worried about her a lot because of that. And the other thing about her, here we go, is very significant. So she was funny about her legs and her feet, sensitive about nail trimming. She had a ton of energy. When she was about 9 months old, Lisa really noticed it when she was doing a lot of pacing and circling, and she clocked her at 35 to 40 miles per day going around her pen and around the yard and stuff. So that's a lot of miles that she was covering kind of obsessively. And she was losing weight. Her coat was not very good. Fecal test showed up no parasites. Thyroid panel says came back normal. Now then, do you have anything to say about her bloods on that? That's when the bloods were taken. Nomi.
Okay.
Nomi also looks at bloods from a Chinese kind of perspective.
I translate blood work to Chinese medicine. Anyway, so yes, I see in her blood work. First of all, my main concept of Finland is she is stuck in survival mode, and her blood work is exactly what it is. Her liver and her I'll say it this way. What I translate from what I'm reading in her blood works is that her thyroid is off, even though I saw you did a kind of a check of the thyroid and it came okay. So usually things at blood work, to have a hypothyroidism, you need to have, and to see it in blood works, it means that 70% of the thyroid isn't working. So if it's only 50% or 40% off, you won't see it in the blood works. It's going to say everything's okay, but in fact, it's not. And the thyroid is connected to the hormonal system and it's all connected together. So it's off. It's not working. And the way I can see it is in the blood works, her ALT and her ALP and her glucose, everything is like in a big mess, okay? Which means that everything that has to do with metabolism isn't working good. You had that one time, I believe she has all kinds of digestive system imbalances, even if you don't see them visually, okay, they're still there.
But because there's also the thing about the liver and the Denamar and the liver supplement that supports the liver.
Okay.
So the liver is, she was off, her coat wasn't good, and with the supplementation of the Denamarin, which is the combination of milk thistle extract and something else.
It's there to support the liver and help cleanse the liver, but it's actually saying when we learn nutrition properly, we understand that in the liver we have a second stage of breaking down nutrients, and the fact that the liver isn't doing it tells us that's the exact connection with the thyroid. So we're actually seeing how the thyroid isn't helping the liver break down the second stages of nutrients, and then you'll see high levels of the liver, the ALT, the ALP, you see her BUN, which is high. All these show us that something in the digestive, and what happens in her whole digestive system, not only in the stomach and the intestines, but the whole digestive system, the whole metabolism isn't working properly. So she is actually not nourished, not because you're not feeding her properly, but her body cannot intake nourishment. And that has to do with stress, thyroid, pain a lot of times. Okay, so all her clinic is actually, we're seeing the blood tests and we can understand, I can connect the whole clinical aspect of her into the blood test and understand how deep everything is going and connected in her body. Okay.
And the pain is definitely, so that was the next thing of here. So the Denamarin does make a difference. Feeding liver makes a difference. You're doing really good supporting her in that. You've got the chiropractor in for her back legs, and her back legs, for her pelvis. Fixed that. Got her working much better with the kinesiology tape, so she's more happy in her body and her cycle normalized.
But I'm gonna say something about that. This
Okay.
is actually touching it symptomatically.
That's right. So that's what this is where we're going next. So we've got her into a better place. We have in fact reduced stresses already, actually. And now we're seeing this big flag up. Okay, let's take it to the next level. She has the food she gets is good quality. It's home cooked soup with all of it's balanced. It's got good stuff in there. It's great for her that it's actually cooked. She gets snacks that she can chew on. Likes her food, eats everything. And so that's where we are with that, because diet is a huge thing. If the diet isn't right, if there's missing any nutrients, then that is it's a stress, it causes stress, physical and mental stress, when you're not getting, you can't nourish yourself.
And emotional. It goes through all levels.
Yeah, it goes through, absolutely. Okay, so I'm gonna speed forward a little bit here because our time.
Yeah,
I want to talk about the MBA.
What I think is, well, if we could share her picture, when we're talking, so people could see her body. The second, I think it's the.
Hang on a second, I have to pull up her pictures.
The second picture, the one we see from the side.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll do that, and
this way they can start, visualizing what you're going to talk about in the MBA.
Okay. All right. So let me just remember where I've stored them, because I didn't have them ready to show. I just had the one up. I remember. Bear with me. Oh, no, that's not where it is. So at this stage, I can talk and do this. At this stage, we've got all the information. Also we get information about the family, the who cares for her, any health issues that are present in the family, because these things also affect our animals. It affects their biome. We share the same biome, the same same microbes live on us as live with them. So that is both the physical and emotional indicators of what the relationships are in the family are an important part of understanding if there's any stressors present. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen, and then I'm going to tell you about the share screen. Start with this one. Which one did you want to?
The one below. This one. Yeah, this is a good picture.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, bless her. Okay, that was when actually these photographs these ones I was like, that's not a very fire
No,
photograph.
this is
Love
like
being, they
this
love
is the
being
water.
photographed. Or metal.
Yeah, no, but I think it seems like she's metal just because she's
No, she's not metal. I'm pretty sure she's not metal.
her weight issues.
I might concede water, but I wouldn't concede metal.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what did you want me to do next, Naomi? Now that you're
Okay, so
me around?
when we're looking at this picture,
Yeah.
and when I want people to kind of memorize.
Okay, no, to memorize it.
Yeah, to look at it, then when you explain the MBA, they can actually like.
Well, I can explain the MBA as they're looking at it. They don't
Okay, I
do
think
my-
it's the best thing to do because this way they'll actually see what you're talking about.
Okay.
And if
So-
they don't, I'll explain it to them later.
All right, so having got all of this information and having gathered a picture of who the character is and who the characters are that are involved, now we have a little think about it. What we've been doing. Can somebody mute there? Somebody's.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
We've got the information. What Naomi and I have been doing out loud here in front of you. This would have been going on basically in our heads as we did it individually. If I was doing this by myself, this is what I'd be doing, going through this thing. Oh yeah, but that, and picking up everything that we can until there is a picture. And I have some oils that are on my short list. I kind of have the element, I think, and I'm going to make a short list of oils that I'm thinking about that might help, essential oils or herbs or whatever. We can think of acupoints that might help. And then I do something that is called a meridian balance assessment, which is something that I developed using what I learned in kinesiology and TCM, and is a way of checking the energy flow within the meridians by dowsing. Actually, no, I am going to switch the share.
Yeah, they can remember the picture
Momentarily, just so you can see that. So hold that picture. We will come back to it if we need to.
Yeah.
So let me just show you what an MBA chart looks like. Okay, so this is a chart where we have all of the meridians listed, and I am going to run down over this. I have already run down over this with a pendulum to check what's going on in the meridians, by whether they are in balance or out of balance, and what the most imbalanced meridian is that we need to, that they're not the most imbalanced, but the place that they're open to start working with, the priority meridian. And when I do this, I get a picture of what's going on in the body, the emotions, the mind, the whole as you do it, you don't just see the meridians, you also see the pattern emerging by what is off and which side it's off on. And there's all sorts of little clues we can pick up from that. Okay, so I'm going to stop that. I can put you back to our girl again. And what I found when I did the MBA was that the imbalances in her meridians were in the governing vessel, which runs along the spine. It's one of the extra meridians, relates to an energetic function rather than a physical source, but also can indicate pain in the back or in the back end, or imbalance in the yang energy of a dog. The heart protector was off on the right hand side, and when I'm doing the MBA, the other thing that I'm picking up on is I'm tuning in, I'm connecting, and I'm also picking up on a communication level, as in hearing any messages the dog might have to come in, and this can come in as feelings in my body, actual word messages, impressions. It depends very much on the dog, how they are, how they prefer to communicate. Finland was actually quite chatty, I have to say. So this is another fire element thing usually.
Also, water elements can be really chatty.
And she was very sad. The heart protector often holds and the heart on the right side. These are both fire element meridians, and they're off on the right side, which often means things have happened emotionally in the past. And there was a lot of sadness held there. And there was a sense of missing someone, that somebody had gone, that wasn't there anymore, that she was missing. Again, I don't go into this any deeper at this stage. I'm just getting that impression. If further on down we needed to have more information, we could check in and really investigate that more. But at this stage, we don't need to do that. So there's sadness held in the heart there. Her gallbladder is off on both sides. And when it's off on both sides, to me, that generally means that it's a physical problem going on. There's actually something physically in the problem and in the body. And the gallbladder runs down both hind legs. And very often in the MBA indicates that there is pain. It's a meridian that you can really interact. There's points on there that you can really help to alleviate pain. So I have two, and then the next thing that's off is the small intestine, which is another fire element on the right hand side. So something there. So this is small grin on my face and Naomi's as we look at the sort of the past heart damage somewhere there, past fire damage, and the priority, meaning that the place that we need to start with, that it will, if worked on properly, resolve, is the gateway to the resolution, basically, is the governing vessel. And this is very often true of the governing vessel or the conception vessel, which are both extra meridians. If they're off, they often are the priority because they have a different sort of energetic power than the organ meridians in my system. So what do we do with that information? So that's interesting, isn't it? So I was really expecting, this is a thing with I was very much expecting her thyroid to be off, her triple warmer to be off, her triple warmer.
It's off, but not on a basic level.
Yeah, exactly. So it's there. It's like this. These are the places that we can resolve if we're working with that. Okay, so then I have that information, and the next thing I do is I see which oils are going to help, which oils might be going to help here. So generally speaking, I think of in these initial stages, I'll have an idea based on how do I choose, how do I make a short list. I think about the story, the character, what issues we are trying to resolve, and match the story of the aromatic to the story of the presenting problem and basically all of our detective work so far. Okay, so what I had on my short list in the beginning, and I'll have maybe 5 or 6 oils on the short list as a beginning point. So because my understanding was this was triggered by the trauma, by the original trauma. And I just want to say to you something at the moment too, so Naomi and I did not talk about this case study before we got here. We decided we're just going to do this completely cold. So this is all completely off our cuff. We don't know what the other one is actually thinking or where we're going to get to. So, so trauma was the original trigger, you know, anything back there, like I love, Nomi's nodding her head away there. Yes, yes, yes. So I have 3 oils that I think of when I have traumas, generally speaking, and they are yarrow, angelica root, and benzoin. Yarrow is very common, especially if there's some pain involved, but it didn't quite, for me, match the whole story, because it was more, well, at this stage I wasn't even aware that how much the pain was an influence, because I hadn't done the MBA. Angelica root, early life trauma, especially good for when you have a trauma that's very early, that's to do with babyhood. Sometimes it's even birth trauma, and especially if that manifests as behaviors later in life. Benzoin is an oil that, and also it's very good for the liver. It's good for the digestion. It helps you to feel protected. So that had a really good matching for me. So it helps you feel safer, more grounded, more in your body, all things that I felt she needed. So I'm looking for things that I think she needs. Benzoin is an oil that's indicated often when there is a lack of strength in your back, or you feel you don't have the strength to carry your load, whatever you have taken on. That can be an emotional load, it can be a physical load. And it's also around if there's been any scarring in the original trauma, that's often selected. It's a very warming, supportive oil, very, very gentle and cozy, like a warm hug kind of oil. So those were sort of the 3 of my first thoughts. The rose, because we've got hormones like crazy here, and she has that heart. Rose is a heart oil, because she's got that sadness in the heart. I can think of rose, I can think of neroli for sadness in the heart, but it didn't have the hormone picture. The other thing that rose is good for is resentful anger. It's got a connection to the liver. It's quite connected to the liver as well as the heart, you see. And jasmine and ylang ylang are both good for hierarchical issues, for excessive, particularly jasmine is good for excessive yang behavior. And because she's got the governing vessel, because she's got that sort of hyper pacing, possibly yang excess going on, I thought about rose, to just give her a bit, jasmine, just to give her a bit more body connectedness. Helichrysum, because it is good for, it's anti-inflammatory, it's good for pains, it's good for the liver, and it just intuitively felt right to me at the beginning there. And German chamomile was on my short list, and then I changed my mind, because German chamomile is good for pain. It's really good for hormones, as far as when you're in pain from hormones, and particularly when you're actually in the heat cycle. It's good for the digestion, and then so those were my thoughts at the beginning, before I'd done the MBA. I do it before I've done the MBA, just because it helps me to tune in. Okay, so then I do the MBA, and once I've done that, then I use the pendulum to test the oils that are on my shortlist, or anything else that might come up having done the MBA, if my thoughts about the picture have changed at that time. And what we came up with in the end was benzoin, rose, and ylang ylang, and cedarwood for Lisa. She was very clear. She's very like they have this connection, and the animals will often do this. They will send messages through for their people, or they will select oils for their people, and she just clearly said this one's for Lisa. So there we go. It's a co-healing situation, so it's always very lovely to see that. And those are going to be diluted in hemp seed base oil. They're diluted oils. We always dilute our essential oils. Not always, but we can check for that to see what the dilutions are. And she has quite small dilutions, which is really means to me that the oils are going to be a lot about shifting the emotional, shifting the trauma. And once we can shift that and reconnect with that, everything else is just going to drop into place. So she's got the benzoin for the trauma. She's got the rose for the hormones in the heart. She's got the ylang ylang that helps. It's really good for hierarchy issues for young animals. Again, it's a fire oil. It helps to uplift you. It's euphoric, makes you feel good and very relaxing at the same time. Really helps you to relax down. The hemp seed oil is grounding, it's warming, it puts you in your body, makes you feel like I can do this. So it's all about giving you the strength that you feel you need. We also check in the MBA whether the diet is right. Her diet's fine for her. Some suggested additions were some supplements. Again, those were joint related. P is an natural anti-inflammatory, and vitamin B12 came up, chondroitin, glucosamine, and NAC, which is an amino acid which helps to develop good muscles, etc. That sort of good cell building. So somewhere in there, that's been disrupted. The sort of the development of the thing, which might come from her mother's side, because her mother carries that, but had some malnutrition, right? Not when she was pregnant, but in her childhood. So that could have been passed down in an epigenetic or even a genetic, not genetic, but RNA thing. So that's what we have for the aromatics at that point. And there was a message that came to her, and again, so I'm going to say, and I didn't know this at the time, I wasn't, is that she feels she needs to be strong, that she needs to be able to do the settling. The most important thing in her life is her family. It is her survival. It's like she is terrified that if she can't do her job, she will lose her family. So that's part of it as well. So this sometimes comes across. This is the heart thing, and she knows, and she trusts her human enough that she knows that she can say that to her. So she really she's very connected with you, Lisa. She really is. So you're right with that. So there she is.
I think if I'm talking about the message, one thing that comes to my head, we're listening.
I'm going to stop this share. Can I stop the share of the photo now?
Sure. So one thing that comes up, talking about her life, her traumas and everything, and kind of reading in between the lines, I think that there is another angle to see what is her job. Okay, I think she has a job that, okay, I'll say it this way. If I'm translating all the information I got, and I have no idea who the pack is, but from the dynamics and everything that's going on in there, I can understand that she's actually getting a very, very central place in the pack. And she doesn't want to take it yet, because she doesn't feel strong enough to be it yet. But I think the concept of who she's supposed to be in the pack is dependent of things she doesn't have to really do in the pack. So if I try to explain it a bit better, in kind of, easy words, okay? So I would say she has all the knowledge and behavior and self-confidence, if she'll connect to it, to be an alpha female, but she's too scared to take the place because of all the trauma and everything that's going in the pack. So it's not for no reason that all the males are going after her. It's not for no reason she's feeling she has a heavy duty she's not strong enough to take yet. It's like everything is building her into a place she's not feeling strong enough or ready to take yet, though she is, but she's not. So I think that's the thing there. And I think that if we take it, if we kind of separate, I'll say it differently. Her body can be really, really strong if it's worked properly, okay? But it has to come from the inside out and not from the outside in, because all her hind area is actually where she's holding all the trauma, and the trauma has to be worked on all levels, but from inside out. And this way, all her skeletal issues, all her muscles, everything is going to be stronger, better built, better carried. And this is going to give her the self-confidence that she's lacking now to actually take the place she's given from the pack. Like, that's how I see it from the whole story.
Good, yeah. It's definitely some along those lines. It is about confidence. I mean, that's one of the things that Ylang Ylang does, is it gives you confidence as you are stepping into your role. Actually, you know, as you're maturing, it definitely is one of its things it does. And benzoin is a confidence thing as well, and supportive. So yeah, so that's so that we could add in acupoints hit that now, but we're not going to do that because we are running short of time. We're actually we're going to move on to the next, just take you sort of right the way through to the end of it, of the thing now. How it would work with the acupoints, just so you know, it's like we would choose probably 3 acupoints, and
they would work from the trauma, from the root source of everything, and I will not touch. So for one, her defense mechanism is actually the weakness in her skeleton. This is what is preventing her from doing the change she needs to do, because the surrounding isn't ready for the change. Surrounding meaning everybody, including the persons in the story.
So yeah, so we would find the right some acupoints to support that as well, alongside the oils, and offer the oils, offer the points, work them for a period of time, adjust the oils, adjust the points as necessary. That's what you learn how to do in the advanced stage of the certificate course, the Psycharomatica part, how to integrate that into it. And you can also show the guardian how to do that. It's very much about getting the guardian to do the work when you go. So what will we do next? We've got all that information. We've got all of that, the oils we've selected, we've talked. Next thing we do is we talk with the guardian, explain what we found in full detail, what how they're going to offer the oils, what they're going to do, because it's the guardian that's going to offer the oils now, and they're going to offer them for as long as the animal shows interest, daily if possible, twice daily if it's really, really keen. So we explain, the practitioner will go and explain to the guardian exactly how to offer the oils, and this offering of the oils together, human guardian to animal, helps to encourage the conversation, to be together, to be part of the healing process together, because obviously when you are using the oils for your animal, you're also using them on yourself. So there's no escaping self-healing through this process. And then we wait and we watch, and after, you know, once the animal goes off the essential oils the first time, we will have a look, see how it's doing. Many times that's it for a little bit. You'll see a huge adjustment in the behavior and the physicality. The balance will be back. Sometimes it's just a one-time round. Often you need to go back. It's good to offer regularly anyway, just to keep for maintenance and everything. But that problem, so once they go off the oils and you see that they have healed, that they're better, that there's no more problem there, we're done. If it hasn't cleared, or if when you take the oils away it reverts, we give a different set of oils, we come back again, we work on it again. Take the time it needs, and these things sometimes take time, you know, especially the longer it's been going on, the more deeply rooted in the body, the longer it will take to clear. If it's just a little problem that is mostly lodged in the emotional body, then can be one short session and you are done. Because the essential oils go into the system on such a profound level. The essentials actually go down and start to affect the RNA and the gene expression and how the whole system is talking to itself. So especially in the cases of trauma, it can completely just reset the system, because every time you have a trauma, the system goes up, stop. And that's why finding the trauma is so important. And of course, getting the whole terrain around it is so important, because without removing the stresses that are there, you're always just supporting them to survive in the stress. So that's why an APA, and what makes it different, what pulls it together, is this concept of you have to get the environment right, and we give you the tools to be able to do that. So I'm just going to share my screen again for a second as we do a wind up here. I've got myself lost in tabs here. Sorry, people. So just to sum up, this is what we do. We look at all the aspects, including the human. We find how best to support them towards wellness, meaning the human and the animal and the whole environment. We're going to support them towards wellness. And we define wellness as an animal who is able to express their nature with curiosity and connection, because their body and mind are free of suffering. And so that is where is what we do. Our key principles, the things that really define us and drive us, are respect for the individual, offering choices, returning autonomy to the animals, our presence with the animals, being there for them, listening to them, really hearing what they have to say, seeing them, all needs presence. Trust in the processes of healing, which are innate. We all have them. Every being wants to return to well-being. That is the primary function of anybody, is trying to get back into that balance, and we can go in and support that innate desire, but we have to trust in the process itself. It sometimes can take time, and we're just there to support it. Compassion is very important. For me, this is really an important part of what I try and instill into students, people that learn from us, is understanding and compassion for the people involved, the animals involved, how things got to that situation, that it's not wrong. Nobody's done anything wrong. Nobody's a bad person. And just understanding this feeling of being able to understand and support all the parties involved, and professionalism, going in there and being, well, professional on every level. So that's all qualities we want to share and instill through our courses. Just gonna how the courses work. Let me just do a little bit of this now, and then you can ask some questions. Oh gosh, we're at 27. So we have the basic certificate, which is the online certificate, and that does most of the stuff that I was talking about. And it takes you through the botanicals, the 5-element theory, the meridian balance assessment, how to understand stress, how to reduce it, how to work with clients, your development as a healer, how to work with vets and other professionals, how to get started in business. This certificate takes you to getting started in business, working with the knowledge that you have learned. You can get insurance and all of that. The advanced certificate, Psycharomatica, takes you deeper into the Chinese system and takes you deeply inside Nomi's place with head, which is kind of a scary place to be sometimes, but hey. And understanding wellness and disease through the TCM, and going deeply into the physicality of the meridian organs and what their function is, their emotional function, their physical function. And then that allows you to choose acupoints and essential oils to support the return to balance. I put correct imbalances here, which is a little more passive than that. The complete system, those two parts, offer profound healing of body, mind, and soul. It's about the whole system. It's about the body, the mind, and the soul. You can't separate out, I'll heal the body, but it's all one unit there. So this has to be understood. And then there's a, we keep on learning beyond that. The cost, whoops, Daisy, I went through that too quickly. If you want to sign up to the courses, we have courses starting on April for the APA. You have to do the APA first before you go on to Naomi's course. Occasionally, with very special circumstances, we might allow you to do one part of, to make up and do some of it. The next APA starts in April, on April the 6th. Sign up is now open. There's very limited places. There's 8 people per course. There's 5 places available right now if you want to join us there. If you buy the 2 courses at the same time, you save a lot of money. It's like, I think it's about €500 saving to enroll on both of them at the same time. Plus that makes sure you have your place on the Aromatica, the advanced course that follows the basic one, the first one, the certificate course. So all of that information you will be sent out in an email tomorrow. Watch out for it. Make sure we don't go to your junk. Sometimes Gmail and Yahoo send us to junk, despite all our best efforts to prove that we're nice people. And you'll be able to you have links to where you can get more information on the courses and where you can sign up to do that. Yay, Tracy's going to be on the course. Lisa's on the course now. Kirsty's done the course. They can all tell you whether it was worth doing the course or not. And if you don't want to do the full course, if you're not feeling like, oh, I'm not actually ready for the course yet, for whatever reason, I don't know why you wouldn't be. There is on-demand courses, shorter courses that you can do just in your own time to kind of get to know us, cover some of the same subjects. Or you can come and join us in the Animal Wellness Lounge, which is our members community, where we have short courses. We have a membership area where you can watch webinars at your own pace or join in. Again, you will get information of where you can find more about that in the email. Or Kirsty, actually, you could just pop a link in the chat. That might be a good thing too, to both of those places, to the Animal Wellness Lounge sign up and to the Animal all courses info. That will be easy. Really, people who are really good at marketing would have thought of all that beforehand, wouldn't they? They'd have got it all set up.
We're here to heal animals.
Yeah, exactly. Got to do this part so we can get more animals healed. Let me see. Is there any questions oh no, okay, you've been managing them all the way through. If you have more questions that you would like to ask us, you can email. You know where to find us. You can Facebook us. and we will get back to you. Naomi, would you like to say anything as we round up here?
No, nothing special.
Nothing special. Okay, here's some questions coming in. So, are the courses self-paced? Oh gosh, that's a really good question, Jennifer. You see, a little more about the courses. So the courses are cohort led. So there's live sessions, and between there's a live session one weekend a month. There's one weekend there's a session Saturday and Sunday, 3-hour live sessions on Zoom with your other cohort members for that group. We found that this is the best way for people to learn because it keeps them inspired and moving forward, and you don't get that, yeah, I signed up and then I forgot to do it effect, which is always a bit disappointing. But for me, I have to say I've done that. You think, oh dear, I never did get that to that course. So we get a group together, we learn together, it's interactive. In between that, you have access to more learning material in the lounge, in our the platform that we use, and also a forum. You have access to your teachers in between, and you have assignments to do every month. It is quite intensive. It's a full-on course. It's a serious course because it's important to me that everyone really learns the skills they need to go out and use the information, to go out and work with people, to feel confident working with people, and professional. I want to get everybody working, going out there and making a difference. And I find that the best way to do that is if we're supporting each other in that way. If you want to do self-paced courses, we do have some shorter courses that you can sign up to and do at your own time, in your own time. They don't go as deeply, but they're still the same information sort of just a little bit more succinctly. So it depends what you want to do. If you want to be using it professionally, then or if you really already have you're one of those people, it's very well qualified but just needs a little more information, then the self-paced courses are ideal because you can just add them into your toolkit. Yeah, so thank you for asking that question. Good. I think that we covered everything. Thank you, Lisa, for letting us look at the lovely Finland. She is a very special girl. Well, they're all special, aren't they? Let's face it. I say that to all the dogs I meet. You're my favorite. My partner does that too. He walks around, he kisses the horses and says, I love you more than anyone else. You're going to start a riot if you do that. So yes, and I will talk to you more about the oils and the dilutions and write it all down for you, and so that it's clear for you as well. And I'll send that to you, and we will keep you. If you're following us, we'll update you on Finland in the future, won't we? She's going to be looking. I look forward to seeing her feeling stronger, which is what's going to happen now. I know it will. Okay. Good. Let me just one last. This has been amazing. Thank you. Thanks, Jennifer. Okay, great. Thank you so much for being here, people. And I hope to see you further on down the line, right, Naomi?
Yep. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, come join the gang. We're a bit crazy. We're a kind of slightly crazy bunch, but we're pretty good fun.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Have a good evening. Thank you for being here. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.